my name's Agatha Gothe-Snape. I'm an artist. I live and work in Sydney on the lands of the Gadigal and Wongal people. I'm here to present a new body of work or room of work. It is the colour of an idea that will not complete itself in our lifetime. And I say room or body of work because it really is about thinking about this new temporary entrance space of PICA and what it means to enter PICA and exit PICA, and how we can make that experience for visitors one of welcome, of hospitality, but also something that creates a bit of space for reflection on what PICA might be and the social and cultural histories and stories that emanate around it. So the process I used to complete this work started with a site visit to Perth, and it was about coming into PICA and firstly looking at the space, like the physical aspects of the space, what the space was and what it's going to become. And to kind of understand that, I spoke to the staff, the people who work here, the people that use the space, and thought about what they want from this entrance experience, but also what they will miss when it's no longer performance space. So really beginning to try and think about what this space means to the people that use it. And that had also included looking at the archive. So I had this amazing experience being given access to some of the early documentation. I was particularly interested in the time before it became a performance space. So I guess it's like this process. The beginning is about kind of throwing everything up into the air, like trying to glean and gather, and also trying not to make a hierarchy of information. So for me, something like a colour or a form is as important as a story or an idea. So colour is very important in my practice. The green is an undisciplined green. There's not a specific type of green I've used. I've used many different types of green. And each one of those types of green has come into the world for a reason and come to me for a reason. There's cool greens and there's warm greens. There's greens that are faded by the sun, and there's greens that actually have a coating on them so they don't fade. The key green, I'd say the first green, which I call is like the green that's a bridge through time, is the green in the archways. But it's a green from another artwork at the other end of PICA's building, the stairwell. And in 1990, an artist called Peter Cripps painted that stairwell the same green that my archways are now. And he did that because he dug into the wall and he found through the layers of paint, layers and layers and layers of paint, through all its history as a school, as a tech, and finally as PICA, and he found this green under all the layers, and that green he chose to repaint the whole stairwell. So in a way he was bringing the previous uses of the building forward, bringing its history forward. And so I hope this green is a way to kind of time travel, in a sense, to bring that history forward, to look through the building, to imagine all these histories at once. How we use space is so powerful. Space holds information even when it's empty. So as an artist, I really like the idea that that space, in its physical form but also in its textural, its ambient forms, is one of the tools at my disposal that I can gently manipulate or guide or shape. The most wonderful part of this process was that I brought all the ingredients into the room during install, and then I had time with the front of house staff to think about how we could shape the space together. You have to spend a lot of time in the room to find a sense of unity. You have to understand how they're relating to each other. So this is not just site specific, I guess it's also requires me to be here, to be feeling how these relationships are building, how there's a sense of harmony being built. I think this work is almost completed by its social function. It's completed when people are in here, and it was so exciting to see people in here at the opening, and how the scale of people and their movement and their energy, how there was space in here for that to exist rather than that to be compressed. I wanted to create a lot of micro spaces as well, so people can find their own zone and shape that as they wish. And one of those spaces is in the far corner where the sun comes in the beautiful windows. And I wanted this area to be like a possible area of colluding, of sharing, of discussing, of relationships forming and people becoming entangled. And I think that's really what PICA is about, what those relationships are and how they're drawn together. And it's a small statement, but I hope that it provides pleasure to people coming here.